The war had been going on for 3 long years. Every day, ships exploded in space and soldiers died on planets across 17 different star systems. The Zephyrians and the Kroleks had been fighting each other with everything they had, but neither side could win. It all started with a simple problem. Both alien races wanted the same mining rights in a place called the Andorian Nebula. The nebula was full of rare metals that both species needed for their technology. What should have been a simple trade agreement turned into the bloodiest war the galaxy had seen in thousands of years. Admiral Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the human warship TDF Liberty. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. Morrison had fought in many battles during his 30 years in the Terran Defense Fleet, but he had never seen anything like the reports coming from the war zone. The communication screen lit up with an incoming message. Ambassador Lisa Carter appeared on the screen. She looked worried and her usually neat hair was messy. Carter had been working with the Galactic Council for 5 years, trying to keep peace between different alien species. "Admiral Morrison, we need your help," Carter said. Her voice was shaking a little. "The Galactic Council has finally agreed to end their no-interference policy. The war between the Zephyrians and Kroleks is destroying everything. Entire planets are being stripped of all life. Millions of refugees are fleeing their homes with nowhere to go." Morrison leaned forward in his chair. "What do you need from us, Ambassador?" "Military assistance. The Council's peacekeeping forces are not strong enough. These two species have been fighting for so long that they have forgotten how to stop. Their fleets are locked in battle across multiple star systems. Every time one side gains ground, the other side strikes back harder." Captain Ben Harper, Morrison's chief tactical officer, walked over to the Admiral's chair. Harper was a young man with sharp eyes and a quick mind. He had studied alien military tactics for years and knew more about enemy capabilities than anyone else in the fleet. "Sir, I have been watching the battle reports," Harper said. "The Zephyrians have crystal-based ships with powerful energy weapons. They are very good at space combat and use tight formation flying. The Kroleks have biological technology and prefer ground warfare. Their armies are part machine, part living creature." Morrison nodded. "What about their numbers?" "Both sides have massive fleets. The Zephyrians have about 800 ships in their main battle group. The Kroleks have fewer ships but more ground forces. The problem is that neither side can achieve a decisive victory. When the Zephyrians win in space, the Kroleks retreat to planets. When the Kroleks win on the ground, the Zephyrians bomb them from orbit." Dr. Helen Brooks, the fleet's chief scientist, joined the conversation. She was a small woman with glasses, who had spent years studying alien technology. "Admiral, I have been analyzing their weapons and tactics. Both species are very advanced, but they have one major weakness." "What is that?" Morrison asked. "They have been fighting each other for so long that they have become predictable. The Zephyrians always use the same battle formations. The Kroleks always attack in the same patterns. Neither side has tried anything new in over a year." Morrison stood up and walked to the main display screen. It showed a map of the war zone with red dots marking battle sites. Almost every planet in the region was either destroyed or under attack. "How many ships do we have available?" he asked. Captain Amy Rodriguez, commander of the carrier ship TDF Washington, stepped forward. Rodriguez was an experienced pilot who had worked her way up through the ranks. "We have 12 heavy cruisers, 36 destroyers, and my carrier. That is much smaller than either alien fleet, but our ships are built differently." "Different? How?" Morrison asked. "Our weapons are designed for fighting in Earth's oceans and atmosphere. We use kinetic weapons like railguns instead of energy beams. Our fighters are smaller and more agile. Most importantly, our tactics are based on centuries of human warfare experience." Commander Rick Sullivan, the fleet's intelligence officer, pulled up enemy data on his tablet. Sullivan was a quiet man who noticed details that others missed. "Sir, I have been studying both species for weeks. The Zephyrians rely on their energy shields and coordinated attacks. The Kroleks depend on their biological weapons and overwhelming numbers. But here is the interesting part, Sullivan continued. Neither species has faced an enemy like us. They have no experience fighting kinetic weapons or guerrilla tactics. Their whole military doctrine is based on the kind of warfare they have been doing with each other. Morrison looked at his officers. These were some of the best military minds humanity had produced. They had trained together for years and knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. "What are you thinking, Admiral?" Harper asked. Morrison smiled for the first time in days. "I am thinking that these aliens have been fighting a gentleman's war. They follow rules and patterns. They fight the way they think warfare should be conducted. And we fight to win," Rodriguez said, understanding where Morrison was going. "Exactly. We do not care about their rules or their honor codes. We care about ending this war as quickly as possible with the least human casualties." Doctor. Brooks pulled up tactical displays showing alien ship designs. "Admiral, I believe we can exploit their weaknesses. The Zephyrian ships are strong but brittle. The Krolek's biological systems are sophisticated but vulnerable to disruption." Morrison nodded. "How long do we have?" Sullivan checked his intelligence. "Reports. Both sides are planning final offensives. The Zephyrians want to sacrifice their remaining reserves in one massive fleet battle. The Kroleks are preparing to release their most dangerous biological weapons. If we are going to act, it has to be soon." "Then we move now," Morrison decided. "Rodriguez, prepare your fighters. Harper, I want tactical plans for simultaneous strikes on both fleets. Brooks, work with Sullivan to identify priority targets." As his officers hurried to carry out their orders, Morrison looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, two alien civilizations were destroying each other and everything around them. They had forgotten that war was supposed to have an end, but humans remembered. Humans had learned through bitter experience that the best way to end a war was to win it so completely that the enemy had no choice but to surrender. The galaxy was about to learn what human military doctrine really meant. The human fleet moved toward the war zone at maximum speed. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the TDF Liberty, watching the stars streak past as they traveled through hyperspace. In 6 hours, they would reach the edge of the battle area, where two alien civilizations had been destroying each other for 3 years. Dr. Helen Brooks worked in her laboratory deep inside the ship. She had dozens of screens showing recordings of alien battles. Her team of scientists was studying every detail of how the Zephyrians and Kroleks fought each other. Brooks had been watching the same battle footage for days, looking for patterns that the aliens themselves had missed. "Computer, replay the Battle of Kepler Station," she said. The main screen showed a massive space battle between crystal ships and biomechanical vessels. The Zephyrians flew in perfect formations, their energy weapons creating beautiful light patterns as they fired. The Krolek ships moved like living creatures, twisting and turning as they attacked. "There," Brooks said to her assistant, Lieutenant Mike Chun. "Watch how the Zephyrians always form the same triangle attack pattern. They have done this in every major battle for the past 2 years." Chun nodded. "And the Kroleks always respond by clustering their ships into defensive spheres." "Neither side has tried anything different," Brooks smiled. "That is because both species think warfare is an art form. They have rules and traditions about how battles should be fought. But humans learned long ago that the only rule in war is to win." Meanwhile, Captain Amy Rodriguez was in the fighter bay of the TDF Washington. She watched as her pilots prepared their small, fast fighters for combat. These ships were different from anything the aliens had ever seen. They were built for speed and stealth, not for honor or glory. "Listen up, people," Rodriguez said to her pilots. "We have studied the enemy for weeks. The Zephyrians expect large ship battles with lots of firepower. The Kroleks expect biological warfare and ground combat. Neither of them expect small, fast fighters that can hit them and disappear." Pilot Lieutenant Sarah Jones raised her hand. "What about their defenses, Captain?" "The Zephyrians have energy shields that work well against energy weapons. But they have never faced kinetic weapons like our railguns. The Kroleks have biological armor that can heal itself. but they have never dealt with electromagnetic pulse weapons that can disrupt their nervous systems. Rodriguez walked between the rows of fighters. Each one was loaded with weapons specifically designed to exploit alien weaknesses. Remember, we are not here to fight fair. We are here to end this war as quickly as possible. Colonel Steve Martinez was training his Marines in the ship's combat simulator. Martinez was a tough soldier who had fought in conflicts all over Earth. He knew that ground combat against the Kroleks would be unlike anything humans had ever faced. The Kroleks use biological weapons, Martinez told his troops. Their soldiers are part machine, part living creature. They can regenerate from wounds that would kill a human, but they also have weaknesses. Sergeant Linda Torres, Martinez's second-in-command, studied the alien biology reports. Sir, what kind of weaknesses? They depend on a hive mind to coordinate their attacks. Cut off their communications and they become confused. They also cannot fight effectively in sealed environments because they need to spread their biological weapons through the air. Martinez showed his Marines the new environmental suits they would wear. These suits will protect you from biological weapons and give you a big advantage. The Kroleks have never fought an enemy they could not infect or poison. Commander Rick Sullivan was in the intelligence center, analyzing enemy communications. He had been listening to alien transmissions for weeks, learning their languages and understanding their military structure. What he discovered was very important. Both species have centralized command structures, Sullivan reported to Admiral Morrison. The Zephyrians have a single fleet commander who controls all ship movements. The Kroleks have a hive queen who coordinates all biological units. Morrison looked at the tactical displays. What happens if we remove these command centers? Their entire military structure would collapse. The Zephyrians would not be able to maintain their formations. The Kroleks would lose their hive mind, coordination, but both command centers are heavily defended. That is why we are going to attack them simultaneously, Morrison said. While they are focused on fighting each other, we hit both command structures at the same time. Captain Ben Harper was working on the detailed battle plans. He had mapped out every enemy ship position and identified the best attack routes. Harper knew that timing would be everything in this operation. Admiral, I have identified the optimal moment to strike, Harper said. In 4 hours, both alien fleets will be repositioning for their final offensives. There will be a 20-minute window defenses are weakest. What about their numbers? Morrison asked. We are outnumbered. 10-1, but that does not matter. We are not going to fight a traditional battle. We are going to use hit-and-run tactics, electronic warfare, and psychological operations to create chaos in their ranks. Dr. Brooks joined the tactical meeting with her final analysis. I have discovered something interesting about both species. They have been fighting the same war for so long that they have become predictable. Their entire military doctrine is based on countering each other's strategies. What does that mean for us? Morrison asked. It means they have no defense against human tactics. They have never faced an enemy that fights the way we do. Their weapons, their strategies, their entire military philosophy is designed for fighting each other, not us. Morrison looked at his senior staff. These were the best military minds humanity had produced. They had trained together, fought together, and learned from centuries of human warfare. The aliens were about to discover what 3,000 years of human military evolution had created. All right, people, Morrison said. We have one chance to end this war. Both alien species are exhausted from fighting each other. They have used up most of their resources and are planning desperate final attacks. We are going to hit them when they are most vulnerable. What are our objectives? Colonel Martinez asked. Simple, Morrison replied. We neutralize both fleets. Simultaneously, we target their command structures, their communications, and their will to fight. We show them that continuing this war is impossible. The human fleet continued toward the war zone. In a few hours, they would face enemies who had been fighting for 3 years. But the aliens had never faced humans before. They were about to Learn that sometimes the best way to end a war is to fight it so effectively that surrender becomes the only option. As the TDF Liberty approached the edge of the battle zone, Morrison could see the glow of distant explosions. Two civilizations were destroying each other, and they did not even know that everything was about to change. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the war zone. Admiral Morrison stared at the tactical display in shock. Even after studying the reports for weeks, seeing the actual battle was overwhelming. Hundreds of alien ships were fighting across 3 star systems. Explosions lit up space like deadly fireworks. "My God," whispered Captain Ben Harper. "Look at the size of those fleets." The main screen showed the Zephyrian battle group. 800 crystal ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls glowing with internal energy. Their weapons created streams of pure light that could cut through asteroids. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. On the other side, the Krolex fleet looked like a swarm of living creatures. Their biomechanical ships twisted and curved as they moved. Some ships had tentacles that grabbed enemy vessels. Others released clouds of biological weapons that ate through metal and crystal alike. "Admiral, we are receiving communications from both fleets," reported Lieutenant Commander Nancy Foster. She was the fleet's communications officer and had been trying to decode alien languages for months. "They are demanding that we leave the battle zone immediately." Morrison smiled grimly. "Tell them we are here on behalf of the Galactic Council to end this war." Then cut communications. "Sir, both alien fleets are moving to intercept us," Harper said. "They have stopped fighting each other and are turning toward our position." "Good," Morrison replied. "That means our plan is already working." Dr. Brooks, "Are you ready with the electronic warfare systems?" Dr. Helen Brooks was at her science station, surrounded by screens showing alien ship designs. "All systems are ready, Admiral. We have identified the frequency of Zephyrian communication networks and the bioelectrical patterns of Krolex hive minds." Morrison turned to Captain Amy Rodriguez. "Rodriguez, launch all fighters. Execute attack pattern Alpha." "Aye, sir." "Oh." Fighters launching now. The TDF Washington opened its fighter bays. 60 small, fast ships poured out into space. They were tiny compared to the massive alien vessels, but they moved with deadly purpose. Each fighter was armed with kinetic weapons and electronic warfare pods. The Zephyrian fleet commander, Admiral Zektar, watched the small human ships with confusion. His crystal ships had fought the Krolex for 3 years. He understood energy weapons and shield technology. But these tiny ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. "What are those small vessels?" Zektar asked his tactical officer. "Unknown." "Admiral, they appear to be some kind of fighter craft. But they are too small to carry significant weapons. Maintain formation. Prepare to engage with standard energy weapons." The Zephyrian ships charged their energy cannons. Beams of pure light lanced out toward the human fighters. But the small ships were too fast and agile. They scattered in all directions, avoiding the slow-moving energy beams. Lieutenant Sarah Jones, leading the 1st Fighter Squadron, smiled inside her helmet. "These crystal ships are too slow. They cannot track us. All units, begin electronic warfare attack." The human fighters activated their electronic warfare pods. Powerful radio signals jammed Zephyrian communications. Computer viruses attacked their navigation systems. Within minutes, the perfect alien formations began to break apart. "Admiral, we are losing communications with half the fleet," the Zephyrian tactical officer reported. "Our formation control systems are malfunctioning." Zektar could not believe what he was seeing. His disciplined fleet was becoming scattered and confused. Ships were flying into each other because they could not coordinate their movements. Meanwhile, the Krolex fleet was having its own problems. The TDF Liberty had moved into position above their main battle group. Admiral Morrison gave the order to fire. "Target their hive mind communication center. Fire all railguns." The Liberty's kinetic weapons launched tungsten rods at incredible speed. The Krolex had never seen weapons like these. Their biological armor was designed to heal from energy weapons and biological attacks. but the railgun projectiles punched through their hulls like paper. The Krolek's hive queen, brood mother Zargoth, felt the impact through her neural link. The communication center that connected all Krolek's units was damaged. Thousands of biomechanical soldiers suddenly lost their coordination. Queen Mother, the hive mind is disrupted, reported her tactical coordinator. Ground forces are acting independently. Fleet formations are breaking down. Zargoth had ruled the Kroleks for 50 years. She had fought countless battles and never experienced anything like this. How can kinetic weapons penetrate our adaptive armor? Unknown, Queen Mother. These weapons are not biological or energy-based. Our armor cannot adapt to pure kinetic force. Colonel Steve Martinez was leading the ground assault on the nearest Krolek's planet. His Marines dropped from orbit in sealed dropships. They wore environmental suits that protected them from biological weapons. Remember, stay in your suits, Martinez told his troops over the radio. The Kroleks cannot fight us if they cannot infect us. The Kroleks ground forces tried to release their biological weapons. Clouds of toxic gas and living acids filled the air. But the human Marines were completely protected. Their sealed suits made them immune to every weapon the Kroleks had. Sergeant Linda Torres led her squad toward a Kroleks command center, the alien. Soldiers were confused and disorganized. Without their hive mind connection, they did not know how to fight effectively. They are just standing there, Torres reported. Without coordination, they do not know what to do. Back in space, the battle was turning into a rout. The Zephyrian fleet was scattered across the star system. Ships were crashing into asteroids because their navigation systems were jammed. The Krolek's fleet was breaking apart as their biomechanical ships lost their hive mind connection. Captain Rodriguez watched from the Washington as her fighters continued their electronic attacks. Admiral, enemy resistance is collapsing. Both fleets are trying to retreat, Morrison nodded. Do not let them escape. We need to end this war permanently. Harper, deploy the interdiction fields. Human ships activated gravity generators that prevented enemy vessels from entering hyperspace. The alien fleets were trapped in the star system with nowhere to run. Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from both fleets, Foster reported. They are asking for terms. Morrison looked at the tactical display. The battle had lasted less than 2 hours. 3 years of devastating war was ending because humans fought differently than anyone expected. Tell them we accept their surrender. All ships are to power down weapons and prepare for boarding parties. Dr. Brooks looked at her instruments in amazement. Admiral, our casualties are minimal. We have lost only 3 fighters and no major ships. And theirs? Morrison asked. Both fleets are effectively destroyed. Not from battle damage, but from system failures and communication breakdown. We have won without actually destroying most of their ships. Morrison stood up from his command chair. The war that had consumed 17 star systems was over. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most devastating victory comes not from superior firepower, but from superior thinking. Send a message to the Galactic Council, Morrison ordered. Tell them the war is over. Both species have agreed to immediate ceasefire and peace negotiations. In less than 4 hours, humanity had ended a war that had lasted 3 years. The aliens had learned that their ancient ways of fighting were no match for human tactical flexibility and technological innovation. The shock of human victory spread through both alien fleets like wildfire. Admiral Zektar of the Zephyrians stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His proud crystal fleet, which had fought bravely for 3 years, was scattered across the star system like broken glass. Ships drifted helplessly with their communication systems jammed and their formation protocols destroyed. How is this possible? Zektar asked his tactical officer. We have the most advanced energy weapons in the galaxy. Our shields have protected U.S. from every Krolek's attack for 3 years. The tactical officer's voice shook as he replied. Admiral, these humans fight differently. They use solid projectiles instead of energy beams. Our shields are designed to deflect energy, not physical objects moving at incredible speed. On the other side of the battle zone, Brood Mother Zargoth was experiencing her own crisis. The Krolek's hive mind that had connected millions of biomechanical soldiers was broken. Individual units wandered aimlessly without central coordination. Her biological weapons, feared throughout the galaxy, were useless against enemies in sealed suits. Queen Mother, our ground forces are requesting new orders, reported her tactical coordinator. They cannot penetrate the human protective gear. Our acid clouds and poison gases have no effect. Zargoth felt something she had never experienced before: complete helplessness. How can such a small force defeat both of our species at the same time? Dr. Helen Brooks was monitoring alien communications from her station on the TDF Liberty. She had been studying both species for months and understood their psychology better than they understood themselves. Admiral Morrison, both enemy commanders, are in shock, Brooks reported. They have never encountered warfare like this. The Zephyrians built their entire military around energy weapons and formation flying. The Kroleks depend on biological warfare and hive mind coordination. Morrison nodded as he watched the tactical display. What about their mental state? They are confused and frightened. Both species have been fighting each other for so long that they forgot other types of warfare exist. They cannot understand how we neutralize their advantages so quickly. Captain Amy Rodriguez was coordinating the fighter squadrons that were hurting the scattered alien ships. Her pilots reported that many enemy vessels were not even trying to fight back. They were simply floating in space, waiting for orders that would never come. Admiral, the Zephyrian fleet is completely disorganized, Rodriguez reported. Their ships are designed to work together in formations. Without communication, they cannot coordinate their movements or weapons. Lieutenant Sarah Jones, leading the 1st Fighter Squadron, flew past a massive Zephyrian battleship. The crystal vessel was beautiful but helpless. Its energy weapons tracked her fighter but could not hit such a fast, small target. This is like fighting with one hand tied behind their back, Jones said over the radio. They have powerful weapons but cannot use them effectively against us. Colonel Steve Martinez was seeing the same thing on the ground. His Marines had captured 3 Kroleks military bases without a single casualty. The alien biomechanical soldiers were strong and deadly, but they could not adapt to enemies they could not infect. These creatures are like a computer virus, Martinez told his troops. They are designed to spread and corrupt biological systems. But our sealed suits make us immune to their primary weapons. Sergeant Linda Torres was interrogating captured Krolek soldiers. What she learned was disturbing. Sir, these aliens have been fighting the same war for so long that they have forgotten how to adapt. They keep trying to use biological weapons even though they can see our suits protect us. The psychological impact of human tactics was spreading beyond the military. Civilian populations on both sides were receiving reports of the impossible defeat. The Zephyrians, who prided themselves on technological superiority, could not understand how primitive kinetic weapons had defeated their energy shields. The Kroleks, who had dominated ground warfare for generations, were baffled by enemies they could not corrupt or control. Commander Rick Sullivan was analyzing the broader implications from his intelligence post. Admiral, we are intercepting civilian communications from both species. They are calling this defeat impossible. Some think we are using magic or unknown technology. Morrison smiled grimly. We are using the oldest technology in the universe, superior strategy and tactics. But they have forgotten that warfare is about winning, not following traditions. The turning point came when both alien commanders realized they had only 2 choices: surrender or watch their entire species be destroyed. Admiral Zektar was the first to break. His crystal ships were designed for glory and honor, not for the brutal efficiency of human warfare. Open communications to the human fleet, Zektar ordered. I wish to discuss terms of surrender. Lieutenant Commander Nancy Foster received the transmission. Admiral, the Zephyrian fleet commander is requesting to speak with you. Morrison took the call. Admiral Zektar appeared on the screen, his crystal skin dim with defeat. Human Admiral, I do not understand your weapons or your tactics. But I recognize superior strategy when I see it. The Zephyrian fleet surrenders unconditionally. Wise choice, Morrison replied. Order all your ships to power down weapons and prepare for inspection. Minutes later, Broodmother Zargoth also contacted the human fleet. The Krolex Queen appeared on screen, her biomechanical features twitching with confusion. Human leader, your warriors are immune to our biological weapons. Your tactics are unknown to us. We cannot continue fighting an enemy we cannot understand. Then do not fight, Morrison said simply. Surrender your forces and we will discuss peace terms. Dr. Brooks was fascinated by the alien psychology. Admiral, both species are experiencing something like culture shock. Their entire worldview was based on fighting each other. They literally cannot comprehend warfare conducted the way we do it. Captain Ben Harper was already planning the next phase. Sir, we need to prevent both fleets from regrouping. Even in surrender, they might try to resume fighting each other once we leave. Morrison had anticipated this problem. That is why we are not leaving. Harper, prepare occupation forces. Both fleets will be escorted to neutral space where they can begin peace negotiations. The human victory was so complete that both alien species began requesting human mediation for their original territorial dispute. The same tactical superiority that had defeated them in battle could now guarantee any peace agreement they made. Admiral, we are receiving requests from both species to help them negotiate a permanent peace treaty, Foster reported. They want human observers to prevent future conflicts. Morrison looked at the tactical display where two mighty fleets sat powerless under human guard. The war that had consumed 17 star systems was ending not with glorious battle, but with quiet surrender. Sometimes the most complete victory comes not from destroying your enemy, but from making them realize that fighting is hopeless. Send a message to the Galactic Council, Morrison ordered. Tell them the war is over and both species are ready for peace negotiations under human supervision. In less than 5 hours, humanity had done what 3 years of warfare could not accomplish. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most advanced military technology is no match for the most basic human trait, the ability to think outside the box. 4 hours and 53 minutes after entering the war zone, Admiral Morrison received the final surrender from both alien fleets. The Zephyrian and Krolex forces that had fought for 3 bloody years were now sitting powerless in space. Their weapons powered down and their crews waiting for human instructions. Ambassador, Lisa Carter arrived on the TDF Liberty 6 hours after the battle ended. She had traveled from the Galactic Council headquarters to witness something that no one had thought possible. The woman who had spent years trying to negotiate peace between the two species could hardly believe her eyes. Admiral Morrison, how did you do it? Carter asked as she stood on the bridge. The Galactic Council has been trying to end this war for 3 years. Our best diplomats, our most advanced peacekeeping forces, nothing worked. Morrison gestured to the tactical display showing both alien fleets under human guard. We did not try to negotiate with them while they were fighting. We made fighting impossible, then offered them a way out. Captain Ben Harper was coordinating the surrender procedures. Both alien fleets were being escorted to a neutral star system where they could begin peace talks. Admiral, both species are requesting that we oversee the peace negotiations. They do not trust each other, but they trust our military superiority. Dr. Helen Brooks was analyzing the psychological impact of the human victory. Admiral, I have been studying the communications between both species. They are calling our intervention the day the war ended. Some of their historians are already writing about it. The speed of human success had shocked not just the combatants but the entire galaxy. News of the 5-hour victory spread through every star system. Species that had considered the Zephyrian Krolex war unstoppable were now asking how such a small human force had achieved the impossible. Colonel Steve Martinez was supervising the withdrawal of ground forces from Krolex planets. His Marines had captured military bases, secured weapons depots, and established peace zones without losing a single soldier. The Krolek's biomechanical armies that had terrorized the galaxy for 3 years were now sitting in detention camps, waiting for orders that would never come. "Sir, the Krolek soldiers are asking to study our tactics," Sergeant Linda Torres reported. "They want to understand how we defeated their biological weapons so easily," Martinez smiled. "Tell them it was not complicated. We used the oldest military principle in the book, know your enemy better than they know themselves." Captain Amy Rodriguez was debriefing her fighter pilots aboard the TDF Washington. The small human fighters had single-handedly disrupted the most powerful space fleet in the galaxy. Her pilots were still amazed by how easy it had been. "Captain, the Zephyrian ships were sitting ducks," Lieutenant Sarah Jones reported. "Their energy weapons could not track our fighters. Their formation flying made them predictable. It was like fighting an enemy from 100 years ago," Rodriguez nodded. "That is exactly what we did. Both species had been fighting each other for so long that they forgot how to fight anyone else. They became trapped in their own military traditions." The most important meeting took place in the neutral zone where both alien fleets were waiting. Admiral Zektar of the Zephyrians and Broodmother Zargoth of the Kroleks met face-to-face for the first time in 3 years. But this time, Admiral Morrison was there to keep the peace. "We have been enemies for so long," Zektar said, his crystal skin reflecting the lights of the conference room. "I do not remember why we started fighting." Zargoth's biomechanical features twitched with what might have been shame. "The mining rights in the Andorian Nebula. We went to war over rocks and metals. Millions died for minerals that both our species could have shared." Morrison listened to both alien leaders with growing understanding. "You were not really fighting each other. You were fighting yourselves. Each species was so focused on proving superiority that you forgot the original goal." Ambassador Carter was taking notes for the Galactic Council. "Admiral, both species are requesting that humanity establish a permanent peacekeeping force. They want human observers to prevent future conflicts." The peace negotiations lasted only 2 days. Both species were so exhausted by 3 years of warfare that they accepted human mediation without argument. The territorial dispute that had started the war was solved by simple compromise. Both species would share the mining rights and split the profits equally, Commander Rick Sullivan was amazed by how quickly the aliens agreed to peace terms. "Admiral, they are accepting proposals that our diplomats suggested 3 years ago. The same solutions that were rejected when the war started. That is because 3 years ago, both species thought they could win," Morrison replied. "Now they know that continuing to fight is impossible. Sometimes the best peace treaty is one signed by exhausted enemies." The final ceremony took place on a neutral space station. Representatives from both alien species signed the peace treaty while Admiral Morrison watched. The document officially ended the Zephyrian Krolek's war and established humanity as the galaxy's primary peacekeeping force. Dr. Brooks was documenting the historical significance of the moment. "Admiral, the Galactic Council has voted to establish the Terran Peace Corps. They want human military advisors stationed throughout the galaxy to prevent future conflicts." Ambassador Carter was reading the Council's official statement. "The galaxy recognizes that human strategic thinking has solved a problem that confounded our best diplomatic efforts. The Council is asking humanity to take responsibility for maintaining interstellar peace." Morrison looked out at the stars where 2 alien fleets were already beginning the journey home. Ships that had been enemies for 3 years were now traveling together under human escort. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. "What do you think, Admiral?" Carter asked. "Are we ready to become the galaxy's peacekeepers?" Morrison smiled. "We ended a 3-year war in under 5 hours. I think we can handle keeping the peace." Years later, military historians would study the Battle of the 17 Systems as the perfect example of how superior strategy could overcome superior technology. The war that had consumed countless lives and resources was ended not by overwhelming force, but by tactical thinking that the aliens could not understand or counter. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the most advanced Civilization is not the one with the best weapons, but the one with the best ideas. Humanity had proven that adaptability and creative thinking were more powerful than any energy weapon or biological army. The Zephyrian Krolak's war was over. The age of human peacekeeping had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.